I came to the United States with my family when I was in 5th grade elementary school. We lived in West Coast, nearby Los Angeles, California. I went to public school there. Back then, I couldn't speak a word of English, barely memorized alphabets. So during my first writing class, I wanted to write, "I am a boy," but didn't know how to spell them, so turned in a blank piece of paper. That's how bad my English was back then. Fortunately, everybody was nice. No discrimination, no bully. So far, so good. One day, my teacher took a leave for a week, so a substitute came to replace her, and she had no idea that I couldn't speak English. On the second day of class, one of the writing classwork was to write what we did last weekend. And last weekend, I went to Santa Monica Beach with my family and some other family and had a lot of fun. And by the time my English got a little better to write a couple more sentences, but not so much better to know how to spell beach. So I took a wild guess and came up with B-I-T-C-H. So the sentence became something like, I went to Santa Monica Beach, which is pretty messed up. And what made it worse was that I somehow happened to spell Santa Monica and all the other words correctly. What a fucking coincidence. So this teacher must have thought, this little bastard wrote this on purpose. So she reported this directly to the principal's office. So my parents were called to have a serious discussion over my bad language habit. And this is not an end of the story. About like 2 or 3 weeks after this happening, we had a drawing class. My teacher was back from her vacation by then, and the assignment was to draw whatever happened over the last summer. I mean, last month. The most memorable event from the last month was when I fought with my brother over Pokemon Game Boy, and my parents got furious, and we were scolded pretty bad. And to illustrate this situation, I drew me and my brother sitting on the floor, crying out loud, bursting into tears, and draw my parents angry. But I wasn't satisfied because my parents didn't look so angry in my picture. And see, I'm quite a perfectionist when it comes to drawing. It's all about portraying the event as much realistic as possible so that the viewers can feel the magnitude of this situation. So to make my parents look more angry, I drew a baseball bat on my father's hand, and then they looked angry enough. But I had no idea what consequences we could suffer from this goddamn baseball bat that never even existed in my place. As I saw this picture, she just couldn't overlook this baseball bat because it obviously implies a serious child abuse. She immediately called me to her desk and asked questions about this picture. I don't remember much about them because I didn't understand them anyways. So I just answered yes to all of them. Now I think back, the questions must have been something like, do your parents beat you up with a baseball bat? That kind of questions, to which I answered yes to all of them. And my parents were called once again to the principal's office, and now it's way more serious shit. The school even invited a Korean translator from the district to get my testimony because domestic violence and child abuse is a serious shit. Can you imagine what this principal might have thought of us? What a fucked up immigrant family is that? Parents beat up their children with a baseball bat, and this child is writing bitch to a substitute teacher. And this shit's like happened within less than a month. So the moral of the story is, don't ever take a wild guess of the spelling if you don't know the word. And do not exaggerate or say yes to the questions you don't understand. It can get you in a big trouble.